folks, welcome to This Week in History, where we take you cool cats and kittens on a journey through this week's important historical events. Who wrote that? Really? Huh, okay. So yeah, let's do this. On May 24th in 1218, Crusaders departed from the city of Acre on their way to Cairo during the 5th Crusade. It was technically the 9th Crusade, but Crusade math is kind of fuzzy, so we call it the 5th Crusade. Anyway, it failed miserably due to political infighting and the Nile flooding. What army made it down to Egypt became trapped by floodwaters and ended up surrendering, so good job, guys. In 1626, Peter Minuit succeeded in purchasing Manhattan Island on behalf of the Dutch from the Lenape people. It's a common misconception that he bought it for around $23. In truth, he traded it for supplies that were supposedly worth 60 guilders, and no, I don't mean the kingdom that Prince Humperdinck was so gung-ho to go to war with. I mean the Dutch currency that existed until 2002. As far as how much that is in modern money, it depends on a lot of variables, but the goods would be worth between $1,000 and $15,000. That's a wide spread, I know, but no matter where it falls in there, it was still a damn good deal. The Dutch ended up building a fort on the island, which eventually became a city called New Amsterdam, and that we today call New York. So if you're ever in New York, buy yourself 60 guilders worth of trinkets. Consider it a historical reenactment, you just won't get an island out of it. On May 25th in 240 BC, Halley's Comet had its first recorded sightings. They were documented all over the world, and it actually took us a lot longer than it should have to figure out that they were all talking about the same thing. In 1521, Holy Rolling Roman Emperor Charles V declared Martin Luther a heretical outlaw after issuing the Edict of Worms. Unfortunately, that's what kind of happens when you speak out against paying to get into heaven, and the powers that be are the ones that are profiting from it. In 1925, John Scopes was indicted for violating the Butler Act, which forbade the teaching of anything contrary to the biblical Genesis origin story. He taught evolution, even though he himself doesn't remember doing it, but he went along with it in order to get it to go to trial, knowing that the case would create publicity for the cause. He was found guilty, but this was eventually overturned. So yeah, a guy was put on trial just for teaching evolution. Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. And now a quick message from our sponsor.
Arr, folks, we here at Sedgwick Jimmy be doing we best to bring ye the finest treasure upon the scurvy seas. But to keep the ship a-floatin', we gotta be asking for your assistance. So don't be stingy with them there likes and shares, we hear it be pleasing to the algorithm. Though we be not sure what in Davy Jones's cold rusted locker that be. And if ye haven't signed up for the crew, it might be pleasing for ye to subscribe. And don't forget to be portin' with us at Facebook and Twitter, and if ye be generous, ye patronage of We Voyage on Patreon be mighty obliged. No pressure. What be a pirate's favorite state? It be Arkansas, the pirate Kansas. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing this now.
On May 26th in 946, Edmund I, King of the English, was killed while celebrating St. Augustine's Day. Oh, happy St. Augustine's Day, don't die. We're not sure if he was trying to stop an attack, if he was assassinated, or he just got drunk and started a fight with the wrong guy. But we do know that there was a brawl and the king was killed. But hey, I guess there's worse ways to go out for a monarch, I suppose. In 1830, the Indian Removal Act was passed by Congress. The act called for the relocation of the 5 civilized tribes. That's the actual phrase used, I didn't come up with that. As well as several other tribes, and the resettlement of their former lands by, let's say, more European-looking folks. This led to the arduous trek halfway across the country that cost many lives, known as the Trail of Tears. On May 27th in 1096, over 600 Jews were slaughtered in the city of Mainz, and guess what country that's in? That's right, Germany. This event was only part of a string of anti-Semitic massacres that occurred across the Rhineland. In 1099, Prince John was crowned King of England after the death of his brother Richard the Lionheart while fighting in France. He wasn't a terrible king, and if nothing else, we got Robin Hood and the Magna Carta out of it. On May 28th in 1588, very important year, the Spanish Armada left Lisbon on their way to invade England. This led to one of the most important instances in history with the Spanish's defeat in the English Channel, showing the world that the English had replaced Spain as the preeminent seafaring power. And then there's this.
Mammy's got a plug to chew. She chews on in them there hairs. She don't care nothing about fuss or frill.
And we we've shown worse. Moving on. On May 29th in 1453, the Byzantine Empire came to an end after the fall of Constantinople to Ottoman forces. The Ottoman Empire would go on to last until 1922, and if we're being honest, when they split it up, it just caused more issues. In 1790, Rhode Island became the last of the original 13 colonies to ratify the Constitution and be admitted as a state. Speaking of admitting states, in 1848, Wisconsin became the 30th American state. I'd say it was a good call. I like Wisconsin. I'd love to visit, but I also know that if I did, I would die a cheese-related death rather quickly, but I would die happy. On May 30th in 1381, the Peasants Revolt began with outbreaks of uprisings across England. It was primarily caused by an unhappiness with the serfdom system, the after effects of the Black Death, high taxes due to constant warfare, and overly greedy public officials. You know, the normal stuff. In 1539, Hernando de Soto landed with a force of 600 men in present-day Tampa, Florida, with the intention of finding gold. Unfortunately, instead he found alligators, hanging chads, and meth. Lots and lots of meth. And at birthdays this week, we've got Charles II, King of England, Scotland, and Ireland in 1630, renowned Irish poet Thomas Moore in 1779, and Old West folk hero Wild Bill Hickok in 1837. And it looks like that's just going to about wrap it up for this week. We hope to see you back here again next week. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Be careful out there, be good to each other, and don't do anything I wouldn't do, but if you do, name it after me.